Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are, and welcome to NerdTube's live debate, mass debate even, of What If, Episode 1, Captain Carter. I'm here with my partner in crime, looking a bit scruffy today, Cousin Cheeto. How you doing?
Scruffy? Yeah. At least as long as I'm not a nerve herder.
You're sounding a bit weird as well. You sure you got your mic in properly?
It's right here. There we go. Can you hear me now?
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, much better, much better.
Sorry, I got a headache.
So, yeah, no problem at all. Okay, so we just experienced the first episode of What If. It was earlier on today. I watched it the moment it came out and then tried to get a review on TikTok immediately. I have to admit, I wasn't too impressed the first time I watched it, but I watched it again. And the second viewing was much better. I actually really liked Peggy Carter as Captain Britain, Captain whoever, Captain Carter, super serum version of Peggy Carter. I did like it, and I liked the way this episode was basically a condensed version of an alternative version of the first Avenger. It pretty much followed everything the first Avenger did, with obviously deviations here and there, but they condensed it in half an hour. Did you think that? And what do you think of this episode initially?
I mean, it was okay. I felt it was a bit rushed, but I mean, as I said, they had to fill in like a whole, Marvel movies worth of alternate stuff into a 33-minute episode. So, actually less than that because of the credits. But I thought it was really good. I liked Peggy Carter as Captain Britain, Captain Carter, whatever you want to call her. I actually hope we get to see a little bit of actual Haley Atwell as like even if it's just like a quick one-off in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I kind of hope we get to see a little bit more of that.
I've been hearing rumors that she might have a quick cameo as Captain Carter, which would be interesting to see.
I mean, I'll always take more Haley Atwell.
She's almost 40, but the point is it's not really her age; it's her physique. She becomes a bigger person physically in this What If episode. I remember Howard Stark mentioned to her that she won't need heels anymore, which was hilarious. So how they're going to pull that off? Maybe some special effects or something along those lines.
She's gonna be walking around like Hagrid.
Yeah, for sure. And
there was just one or two moments where I thought that the voice acting was a little, I don't want to say cheesy, but like hammy, like when they're calling for air support and Steve Rogers comes in and he's like, Steve, like it's like, oh, okay, that's a bit much. Like I felt like it was very, like Carter didn't ever seem like that type of expressionist, and I don't know, it just seemed a little out of character. But
what did you think of the animation in general? Was that sort of shell shading style of animation? You think it worked for you?
No, I more prefer the 1960s Spider-Man cartoon, but I mean, I'm kidding, Zam.
Okay. I mean, I personally, it worked at times, and at times it didn't work. And like sometimes with the expressions and when they were talking, I'm not sure if it really felt like it was in sync with what I was watching.
Steve's lips looked weird.
Well, that wasn't Chris Evans.
It wasn't. I know.
So I thought only Robert Downey Jr. wasn't doing this, but apparently Chris Evans wasn't doing it either. But even the people who were there, it didn't necessarily sound. Obviously, Hugo Weaving's not in there either, but that's obvious. Did you notice that they killed off Tommy Lee Jones' character right at the beginning? He was one of the first people to be shot by that Hydra agent who was basically Thorin Oakenshield from fucking Hobbit.
I did not catch that.
I think they did that on purpose because they knew Tommy Lee Jones wasn't going to be coming back for this. Block has got something to say here. So yeah, I think that's why they killed him off, and then they immediately had some other guy as the alternative person in charge, who was basically the pain in the ass and didn't want anything to do with the super serum or super soldier project. Now Captain Carter was in it. and then obviously took all the plaudits once they realized that Captain Carter was doing her job really well. And she seemed very efficient because she is, in the day, like a proper military personnel, unlike Steve, who was just recruited. So she knew her shit. I mean, I like the way that they got the Tesseract immediately, and it became like the arc reactor for Howard Stark's Iron Man suit.
Yeah,
And
I like a way the way that a lot of that went, like the way the story progressed and stuff. I mean, it felt like it flowed really well. Jagjit Ryan says, "Hey guys," with thumbs up.
yeah, he's a friend of mine. Hey Jag, how you doing? Hope you saw
Good day, mate.
Captain. No, he's British. He's not American. He's not Australian.
I figured that, but
Yeah. Nevertheless, I like the way Steve wasn't jealous of Peggy. He supported her the whole way because he was just even other things as well. Like there was a bit of a bait and switch here because it kind of looked like Peggy Carter was always going to be chosen for the super soldier serum, but it ended up her taking it by just as a last minute thing because Hydra was fucking things up, which was interesting.
One question I have with that part that you're talking about, I don't understand why they said that they were going to lose everything because they hadn't used the serum yet. So
No, but because of the explosion, I think it was causing a disruption to the power supplies and all of that sort of shit. So they had to get stuff, and without Erskine to maybe look over things because he was already dead. It was going to mean that this was their only opportunity because all it required was maybe Howard Stark to power things up, and that's why Peggy Carter decided to jump in at the last minute. But if you look at the trailer footage, it hasn't got all this explosions and debris and brown and orange smoky background. It's kind of clear. They've done the Hulkbuster Hulk thing for Infinity War kind of thing with the trailer. And so they made sure that it looked one way, but when we actually saw it on the actual episode itself, we saw it in a different way. And yeah, she only ended up being Captain Carter because things were fucking up and Steve got shot, and so last minute she just jumped in and took the position. And like I said, I like the way that Steve Rogers wasn't. Oh, thank you very much. I like the way that Steve Rogers wasn't jealous and he supported her. And I also like the fact that Peggy still had the hots for him, even though he wasn't buff Steve Rogers, because people always said that the only reason why Peggy Carter liked Steve was once he became Captain America, he was all buffed up and shit. But she still loved him even as a small man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there was something there, even in the movie. I feel like there was something there before he became Buff Steve, but I'm pretty sure that the muscles helped a bit.
No doubt. And I like the way we saw, even though there were certain things that were following a particular a similar path to First Avenger, there were things that were different. Like Bucky Barnes was always a wisecracking, funny guy with quick and stuff like that. And he remained that person because he never had the tragic moment in his life where he lost his arm and was taken over by Hydra and all of that shit and became the Winter Soldier. So I'm kind of liking that. And I like the fact that Peggy saved him. And so he remained as Bucky Barnes.
You know what I was kind of hoping? I was
Well,
kind of hoping that Steve would have been lost, like not dead, but lost. And then in the what if for Captain America and the Winter Soldier, it would have been Captain Carter again, but then Steve was the Winter Soldier.
The Winter Soldier. But he would have been a skinny ass.
No, I mean no, he could have still been.
But they would have given him serum. They would have given him a serum.
Yeah, they would have given him the serum like they gave to Bucky. Yeah. I mean, they did give Bucky a serum. I mean, I just thought I was thinking when Steve, the explosion happened and Steve fell, that's what I thought they were going to do, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good idea." And then I saw him later in the episode, and I'm like, "Ah." But now, I'll tell you that I think that would have been a great way to play on the whole Winter Soldier thing, is like making it Steve instead of Bucky to Carter.
Well, I'll tell you what I didn't like. And when I say didn't like, I don't mean I don't like the character. I just don't like the way they used him in this episode. And that was Red Skull. Red Skull became a bit of a joke in this, which was
that's why
a bit sad. Like, for a start, the character they had portraying Red Skull looked nothing like Hugo Weaving, but maybe they did that on purpose because they had to pay likeness to Hugo Weaving, even though he's not working with them. So that's why I think he looked nothing like Hugo Weaving. And on top of that, the way he went out to that fucking Hydra monster was a bit sad. I mean, like he's.
Great. I laughed. I laughed really.
I'm not sure he's dead though. Like some people are saying that he's not necessarily dead.
You heard the crunch. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, it. I mean, okay. There's a chance that he can come back because of, plot. But like,
Yeah.
Their first intent was to kill him there, and then if he happens to come back, well, plot is what brings him back.
I agree. Well, maybe we'll find that out sooner or later. I mean, it took him a long time to come back after the Tesseract took him. So you're right there, mate.
Yeah, my neck hurts. I said I have a headache and the back of my neck is hurting, and so I'm just trying to relax a little bit because
Okay, now I liked also getting a lot more Howard Stark in this episode, which is always good. Dominic Cooper did return to voice Howard Stark, creations of Howard Stark. We've had the Mad Men version of him, who's in his latter years, but obviously we've had the old fun doing version of him as well, and that was pretty good to see. And it made me wonder. It got me thinking about like the Starks in general. They were pretty much assholes. Like Tony Stark never really became the man he was until he got captured by the Ten Rings. He was just a warmongering arsehole who made money who sold weapons for profit, and there wasn't a war he didn't like. So it makes me wonder how he was anything like his father. I mean, maybe the fact that his father died by the hands of Bucky, and he never had his father.
Oh, I think this isn't on me. I think this is on Zam. Something happened to his internet. So I guess I'll continue the show. So yeah. So that with episode 1, I mean, they do a lot of yeah, I see that there's a technical glitch. I'm trying to get a hold of Zam to see if I can get him back, but I wonder if he stopped for 2 seconds. I wonder if he stopped and realized. Oh, and there he goes. So yeah, so episode 1. I mean, I'll give my opinion while I wait for Zambozi to come back. I mean, I thought, as I said in the beginning, I thought it was kind of rushed. And I don't know. I was kind of, I mean, I really liked the Captain Carter persona. I mean, she really showed how she was. My net has gone down. But I really liked. I really liked. Okay, so let me start over. Sorry. I have a headache, so I'm kind of as well. So I apologize for that. And Zam was definitely carrying this one for us because he's the man. So I felt it was a little rushed. I like the Captain Carter. I like the fact that she showed that she was very experienced in the military. Whereas Steve wasn't that. I mean, he kind of fumbled his way through his first missions, whereas Peggy was like clear and concise. And I mean, as she was developing abilities, you know, um, as she was developing abilities. She just strategized and added those right into her repertoire of assault. I mean, there's one part where she's like, "Let's try that again," like after she did the whole thing and lifting the cars over. I thought that was really good. Because that'd be my response if I did that. I'd be like, "Yeah, we're doing that bad boy again." There was the Red Skull thing. I mean, I kind of figured he wasn't going to play too much of a part. I thought it was hilarious that he got crushed by the Hydra monster. I want to know what that Hydra was. That the Hydra monster from Agents of Shield? Because I don't know. I mean, I don't think it was Hive. I think it was just some kind of Hydra monster or something like that. So yeah, Zam's back. So yay!
I do apologize. I've been
Very
having some
unprofessional.
I have been having some internet issues recently. I don't know what it is. Ever since I downloaded Hearthstone, the update, maybe it's just coincidental. Oh, here we go. Hey, here we go. Captain Scally, Captain Scallywag, how you doing?
I'm alright.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see that you're in the comfort of your sofa there. So, we've just been talking how we felt about this first episode of What If. How about yourself?
Well, as I said in the chat, I was a bit underwhelmed, to be honest with you. It's a bit of a lame remake of First Avenger, to be honest with you.
I mean, not really.
Yeah,
I mean, they
Well-
made a lot of significant changes in this. I really don't feel like it's. I mean, if you're saying it's a retelling because it's in the same time period and there's kind of some of the same missions, okay. But like all the missions went completely different. There's a whole other part in there about her getting the Tesseract. I really feel like they kind of went. They did. It's just not a retelling with Agent Carter. They really went totally different with it. I feel.
and plus it was set it was the first Avenger end of the day, and it's like, okay, we're at the first Avenger movie. What would happen if we went left instead of right? There's some major feedback coming from you, Gary.
Sorry, mate. Sorry about that.
Which is why it was so similar to First Avenger, because it was still set at that period. But obviously, shit happened. Steve never got the serum. Peggy did. Then it continued from there. Really, my only issue with it was that you put an hour and a 2 hour movie in 30 minutes. That was my only issue, because they were following the same beats as the First Avenger.
I felt like
much.
the episode could have been longer.
I personally think that it was no. But the thing is that they kind of just did like little bits of the First Avenger. No, I'm not just talking about the period. I'm talking about like when he first attacked, when he did the entire things, like including like the hitting the shield, the rocket hitting the shield, and all that sort of stuff. I mean, the other things that were different was that she got the Tesseract earlier.
And we had an Iron Man as well. We never had an Iron Man in First Avenger.
The thing that really annoyed me, and I know this is going to be personal to me, was that the end boss thing was literally the end boss from Borderlands.
It's a whole different genre, mate.
No. But what I mean is, like, it's the same sort of like squiddy, alien-y thing.
It was supposed to be an actual Hydra, though, because like the Hydra's got all these tentacles and stuff like that, or in some particular adaptations, it's got loads of heads. You chop off one head, two emerges and stuff like that. But well, shit's all over the place today, mate. But yes, I didn't mind some of that. It just felt really quick. Like even at the very end, when she comes out of the portal and Nick Fury tells her to put the sword down and goes, "Are you okay?" Like just like that. It just felt really rushed. Everything, the dialogue. Do you remember the Spider-Man cartoons from the 90s? Of course we all do. Yeah. Remember how like the delivery, the dialogue was just still speaking at raise of fast speed to each other, trying to ram everything in 15-20 minutes. This is how this episode felt. It felt like they were just delivering their lines, getting everything done. I mean, she got a suit, she got a shield, really, really quickly. All of this, everything was just done so quickly. It was like it made the delivery of the lines feel really weird. It wasn't for the fact. It wasn't for the fact that it gone.
It was just. It was, as I said, it was just, to me, and again, as I said, it was just like a lame remake of First Avenger. There wasn't anything, significant. Oh, I mean, there were a couple of things, like Bucky Barnes did die, and it was Steve that was captured, and he has a suit and stuff like that. All right, that was quite cool. But apart from that, I wanted to see, like, just, like, she she got to Red Skull earlier and stuff like that. Like, maybe Red Skull sort of dying and surviving and stuff like that.
Bossman, can you not get on your computer? It's really bad, Bossman.
How
You got Bossman. You're not.
Just remove. I mean, just remove him until he gets.
Bossman, honestly, it's unbearable. You need to go on your computer, mate.
And you're gapping.
Yeah. Yeah, you're sounding like a robot.
Right, I'll come back.
Okay.
Well, I guess I should wait till Bossman gets back on because I have a lot of issues of what he's saying. Because what if the comic book has always been taking one little thing and changing it? Not even a little thing. One thing about a main story, changing it, and then it branches off from there. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a domino effect after as well. Like,
yeah.
And as I said, some things stayed the same and some things changed.
But there was a lot of differences. I was actually surprised there was as many differences as there was.
They got the Tesseract so early that Red Skull wasn't able to create his weapons.
And I mean, on top of that, I'm sure they would have done more if they had more time. But it was a 33-minute episode with credits. Like, so I mean, I really feel like it. I'll say it to Bossman's face when he gets back. I really feel like he's giving this a serious injustice here. But, I mean, if you have issues with the episode for like structurally or writing or voice acting, okay. But like, he's kind of blasting the theme of the show. Like he says, oh, it's not what it's supposed to be. And it's like, no, it really is kind of what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like he's not giving credit where credit should be due.
Look, I can understand like certain scenes just being so significantly different that you don't see any comparisons at all with any of the previous shows. I can understand that, but like I said, this was the first Avenger, and it was following the same footsteps as the first Avenger, and Peggy ended up being like taking over as the replacement for Steve when Steve wasn't able to do it, and then after that, things were always going to follow suit, and some things did, some things didn't. Sorry, I do apologize. But other than that, I felt there was enough differences. I mean, like, how different was it going to be? Peggy Carter was going to be the super soldier.
And I mean the thing is that she's still around. And she didn't have to stumble through those early. I said while you were gone, I love the fact that she didn't have to stumble through those early missions. Like, she was like a military person in those missions because she was like, she had the training, she had the background, more so than Steve did at that point. So I really feel like she really amplified what a soldier would have looked like getting the super soldier serum, but not being like the jerky, cocky one, more just like, because I mean, if you think about it, Peggy Carter had the exact same problem Steve did. Everybody discounted Steve because he was skinny Steve and he had medical issues. Everybody discounted Peggy because she was a woman in the 1940s. Like, so I mean, they both kind of had the same background in that aspect of where they were coming from. So that's why I feel like it's not that crazy to think that that Peggy would be just like with the serum will be just as good as Steve, because they both come from humble beginnings. Peggy more so just not being seen as an equal to anyone. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And also, by the way, the serum is supposed to do something towards your personality, and she's such a she is a female version of Steve Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
People say that if you watch First Avenger, and I've seen it as well, that part where Tommy Lee Jones's character throws that fake hand grenade, she was also going to throw herself onto the grenade before Steve did. You can see her running to do that. So she follows her, which is why she ended up still being like a good person, which is something Erskine wanted as well. And also, I'm not sure about you, but did she remind you of Wonder Woman?
No. I did not get that vibe. I did not.
I got that vibe.
Okay.
I got that vibe.
I did not get that vibe. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, I didn't like you saying that now. I'm kind of like, maybe, but like, I didn't get that vibe while watching it. No.
Little things like obviously nothing to do with Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, because she's not humongously hench and extremely tall, but there have been renditions of Wonder Woman like in the Injustice games where she's a big lady, she's like China in the WWE. I mean, she's like a very tall, muscular lady. And there was times when I saw Peggy Carter look like that, and I think to myself, "Wow, you remind me of Wonder Woman." Then she's got the shield and she's got the fucking sword.
Yes, you know what? I take that back. I did think about Wonder Woman when she did have the shield and the sword, but I didn't think of her in that way, as in like like being more like Peggy Carter or being like Wonder Woman. But yeah, no, I did think about Wonder Woman when I saw the sword and shield. I'm like, oh, okay.
Exactly. So I don't know what much more I can say about this. This episode was only half an hour long. There was only so much into it. It was good to see some old characters come back, and it'll be interesting to see where they go. Bucky Barnes will never be the Winter Soldier, so it'll be good to see what happens to him if we do see anything happening to him in the future, because we might not see those particular people ever again. We might not see Skinny Steve again. He's dead. Probably Bucky Barnes is probably dead.
That's why I thought it would have been great for them to have Steve as the Winter Soldier, because then he could have, as I said, he could have shown up again.
I would love that. Yeah, no, that would have been
missed opportunity. Marvel.
Yeah. So next week we're going to be having what if T'Challa becomes Star-Lord. That's a very interesting one.
I feel like I feel like there has to be like a little bit of like the whole thing where it's like Peggy being getting the serum besides Steve, that makes sense, but it's like so here's going back, and this is why I have issues with this one. If T'Challa was Star-Lord, so that means that Ego, the Living Planet, went back and banged T'Challa's mom, and then they had a baby, and it just there's
it doesn't have to be that.
It does. That's exactly how Star-Lord was born. Was he banged Star-Lord's mom, and then she died of cancer?
But what's his name? What's the name of Michael Rooker's character?
Yondu.
But he was been taking kids for a long time.
No, he was taking kids that were his his offspring.
Yeah, I guess.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. So that means that T'Challa would have to be half a Celestial.
Okay, let's just say for argument's sake, he made the mistake. Yondu made the mistake.
If he made a mistake, then I understand. Okay, then that's fine. But yeah,
and so he ended up getting a kid that was not part of Igor's the Living Planet.
So then the actual episode would be, what if Yondu screwed up the kids?
It'd be interesting to see where that goes. Because from what I've seen so far,
there's a lot of holes in that one.
Yeah, there is.
But it'll be nice to hear Chadwick Boseman again.
Yeah, this is his last.
No, well, this show is. He actually recorded. They said 4 episodes. He has lines in.
Really?
Yeah, he's in other episodes. So I mean, because I think Infinity Wars What If is in this season, because there's an episode where there's a trailer where you see Scarlet Black Widow with the blonde hair, and then there's T'Challa and Cap and Thor, and so there are episodes
and Gamora as well, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so who's got the Thanos armor and shit.
Yeah, there are episodes that T'Challa's in that aren't. I mean, he won't be Star-Lord in every episode, but there are definitely Black Panther episodes, where he's voicing Black Panther.
So what happens to Peter Quill?
I don't know. That we'll have to find out. As I said, this next week will be interesting. I'm interested to see how they deal with the plot holes. Because if they don't deal with the plot holes, because here's the thing about a what if. You can sit there and say, what if this? But you kind of have to tidy up the plot holes that lead up to it. You know what I mean? Because as I said, if they acknowledge the fact that Yondu screwed up and picked up the wrong kid, okay, fine. Then that's completely fine. It makes sense. Yondu just screwed up. But if they don't address that at all, then it's just like, well, that's a huge plot hole about Ego and the future. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I've seen what I think. This is from what I've seen from some of the clips. I think Killmonger becomes Iron Man.
I don't know if he becomes Iron Man, but I think he might become War Machine.
No, I'm not sure about that, because I don't think Tony Stark doesn't have to, because when they have the interactions, Tony Stark doesn't obviously get damaged by one of his own bombs. doesn't get injured, so he doesn't need to make an arc reactor for himself. So I think he makes it for, he just basically does a Howard Stark, but for he's like Howard Stark in the sense that he's making something for someone else.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think you see Killmonger with a heart with the arc reactor in his chest. I think I've seen a picture of that.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but I mean, I haven't like looked for it, so I mean, that might be out
No,
there.
I wasn't looking for it either. I just happened to, like
well, I mean, you know what I mean. Like, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting as well. Spider-Man being the Sorcerer Supreme.
That's gonna be dumb. I mean, it might be good, but I feel like that's gonna be like, again, they have to do the legwork, and they've only got a half an hour. Like, I mean, if it makes sense, okay. But like with What If, everything has to line up to that what if, because like even the Watcher says that moment right there, like in the first episode, he said that moment right there is when the decision, that's when the change happened with the Carter. Remember, Carter decided to stay downstairs. Now I don't understand why everybody else decided to stay downstairs. Because Peggy decided to stay
Yeah, I was thinking
downstairs.
that too.
Like, why was everybody else down there?
Yeah. So
I mean,
Hmm.
it's just nitpicking at this point on my part, but I mean, I that's what I do. I'm a nitpicker.
And this is also the weird thing as well, because by making these decisions, they're creating alternative timelines and alternative universes. And then the TVA, I know obviously Loki's changed things and thrown a spanner in the works, but prior to that, if the Watcher was always keeping an eye on these alternatives and these changing of opinions and going left instead of going right, wouldn't that get the TVA involved and stop all this shit from happening in the first place?
What do you mean? I feel like the Watcher was made, or has been, or been re-employed after the multiverse came back. But I mean, the Watcher's really only been in the comic books. Now, this is not the MCU. The comic books, the Watcher has always been in the Prime universe, and he watches I don't think he watches alternate realities. I think he watches, or no, maybe he does watch alternate realities. He might. I'm not a huge What If person, but the more I think about it, the more I think I'm wrong on that. But still, he was unemployed. Like during the Sacred Timeline era, he was unemployed. Like he had nothing to do. He was watching the main timeline. That's it. Like the main Sacred Timeline. But now that Loki screwed everything up, it's like now he's actually got a job again. So I don't. I mean,
I'm watching Emergency Awesome talk about this first episode of What If, and I have to say, he does make a good point in certain things. This does feel a bit like Twilight Zone, and the Watcher feels like the narrator of Twilight Zone.
Yeah, doesn't the guy who plays the Watcher,
Jeffrey Wright,
doesn't he do the Twilight Zone on one of the streaming services?
I'm not sure if he does, but
I'm gonna look
Jeffrey
that up.
Wright is an excellent actor. He was you should see like his like level of acting ability, because he played People Hernandez in what do you call it, in Shaft, the first.
Isn't he? Is he in
Samuel
the new
Jackson
Batman movie?
Yeah, he's playing
Gordon.
He's playing Commissioner Gordon.
What's his name again? What's his first?
Jeffrey Wright. Wright with a W.
Yeah, I got the first name wrong. I'm gonna look here. I want to see if he's the guy who's actually hosting that, because I mean that's actually, very interesting that that you say that, because I think he does host a Twilight Zone. I thought he did.
He's playing a lot of laid back characters, but when he played People Hernandez in Shaft, he played a very eccentric, sort of Latino, sort of crime lord. And then you see him in other stuff, like you see him in Westworld. You hear him in this. You see him in some of the James Bond films where he's playing Felix Leiter. You see him as Commissioner Gordon to a degree. He seems a lot more laid back in his deliveries and in his persona. But he's a very good actor.
Oh yeah, I have no problem with him. I mean, I've seen him in other stuff, and when I first heard him announced as Gordon, and then saw him that he was going to be voicing the Watcher, I'm like, that's a good cast. That's good casting. I like it.
I just hope we get to see him a bit more. I think when we finally get to Doctor Strange, I think he's going to be some of the glue for all of this. Yeah, he's usually a laid back dude. Yeah, I think I agree. I agree, boss man. But yeah, I think when we finally get to some of the more meatier stuff, because remember, there's only 9 episodes, and if they're only half an hour long, there's only so much they can do in that time. It's going to be pew, pew, pew. So we kind of got an idea of the pacing of the episodes, and eventually we'll need some glue because I do feel a lot of this shit's going to come together, even though they do a lot of parallel universes and stuff. You saw a clip of Doctor Strange and Captain Carter,
and also I think it was T'Challa Star-Lord and Doctor Strange. Or so he was Doctor Strange was talking to a couple people. Has been seen talking to a couple people that were from alternate timelines. So, and they've also said that there is an overarching storyline that will eventually kick in. This is like the first episode, like in WandaVision, where you just had no idea what was going on, like outside of what would happen in that episode. But from what I understand, there is going to be like a overarching. Now, I don't even think it's going to be the Doctor Strange of the MCU. I think it's going to be an alternate timeline Doctor Strange pulling people together. Like maybe, or maybe it is canon. Maybe it'll be canon to the MCU, and maybe Doctor Strange will make reference to it in the movie. But wouldn't it be crazy if like this animated show like picks up or the Doctor Strange movie picks up right where this animated show leaves off, and you got like Captain Carter there. You've got like all his entire team there. Obviously not Chadwick Boseman.
I'm almost a bit concerned because with the amount of characters and ideas and stories and yada yada yada, something like Doctor Strange 2: The Multiverse of Madness should be a bloody series because there's just so much you can do there.
I agree.
And to fit that in a 2-hour movie is asking a lot.
Well, and that's why when they said they were still doing
Spider-Man 3.
Well, that's why when they said they were doing the whole horror thing still for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I was like, why? Like what? Okay, the studio is leaning and you're right. It's Spider-Man 3 all over again. The studio is leaning really hard into like this overarching multiverse, storytelling. But then the director wanted to do the horror aspect of Sam Raimi and Scott Derrickson wanted to do the horror aspect of Doctor Strange. And I'm like, you guys really have like the way they're building this. I'm like, you guys really need to pick a lane because this is not. I don't mind a horror-ish Doctor Strange movie, but it cannot be on the multiverse scale like this. It's got a Doctor Strange horror movie has to be low scale. It can't be this big old crossover like Captain America Civil War level thing, which it seems like Doctor Strange is kind of going to be that Captain America Civil War of phase 4. We're going to see multiple Spider-Men possibly in it. We're going to see multiple, versions of other characters in it. Like there's going to be a lot of shit going on.
And don't forget
Loki, Wanda.
Wanda's got to be in that, and apparently she's the villain. And which is what I've been hearing through the grapevine.
Well, I kind of hope so. As I said, I kind of hope that Wanda is a villain. I don't want her to really die like, a lot of the Marvel villains. Gary will be happy to hear me say that. But
no, nobody wants her dead.
Yeah, but I've said for a while that I think that she oh my god, they remade. Dude, get off it, man. Like it is not. Oh god. Okay, keep going, Zam. My head's starting to hurt again.
No, you were actually saying something, Guy.
I know, but Gary just derailed me completely with his nonsense.
Fair enough. Well, look, I think we should maybe wrap this up. We've been yabbering on for about 40 minutes now.
Longer than the actual episode was.
Yeah, like I said, I was disappointed that why Marvel? Like, why are you making this so quickly? Like, why? You don't need to make it that quick. Just an extra 8 or 9 minutes could have padded this out quite nicely, and the lines could be delivered in a way that didn't felt rushed. It just that's my only issue with it. I want to like this, and I do like this, but I can't help but be bothered by the pacing of this. And
as I said, it did feel rushed at a lot of times.
That needs to be resolved. That definitely needs to be real, but very unlikely. Now, do you think we'll get more seasons?
I think so. I mean, if every episode is going to be based on a episode like a movie, I feel like, I mean, there's 23 movie or 24 20 yeah, 24 movies thus far. So I mean, if they're going to
Yeah,
pull
Black
this,
Widow. Yeah,
yeah,
24 movies with 3 more coming out this year.
yeah, I know, right? And that's crazy.
And then you throw in the television shows as well. They could play their part too. WandaVision and Loki could play their part, and Captain America with Falcon with the Soldier. They could all play their part. So it just adds to the lore. So yeah, there's more to come.
Oh yeah.
You know,
I feel like this show could be a really good
what
platform.
if the FBI caught the Romanoff family before they flew off in their plane at the beginning of Black Widow? Yeah.
Well,
see what happens there.
but remember, there in some of the trailers, it looked like something happened where Black Widow poisoned Tony Stark. Remember, he's like laying on that in Iron Man 2. He's laying on the floor with Black Widow standing over him.
Spider-Man is not Doctor Strange. Spider-Man is the Sorcerer Supreme. Just so you know.
Yeah.
But that would be in What If.
Oh, and okay, here's Gary's typical DC. Stargirl season 2 is out, and it's easily better than that. Okay, well, yeah, okay. Whatever you say, Kumquat. Whatever you say.
Like I said, he's a big DC fan, and we all thoroughly enjoyed Suicide Squad. And we don't take sides here. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
But don't throw all this DC when we're talking Marvel, unless it pertains to the show, which it really doesn't. Because anyway,
and we want we've always said we want both. We love them both. They've got
we want them all. We want them all to be good.
They want all to good. I mean, you saw me showing off my Reverse Flash the other day. That's DC. Reverse Flash being my favorite supervillain. But regardless, if there's if the Flash movie that comes out, sorry for going on this tangent now, but if this Flash movie that comes out next year or whatever, with Ezra Miller. I keep getting Ezra Miller and Ezra Bridger from fucking Star Wars mixed up. Ezra Miller comes out and they have Reverse Flash in it and it's shit, then I'm going to say it's shit. I'm not going to fucking pick sides. I'm not going to stand by it because it's got my favorite supervillain in it. So, yeah.
With all that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've spoken about this enough. I'm gonna give Captain Carter a 7 out of 10. What about you?
7 out of 10 is pretty good. I was thinking a 6.5, but I mean 7. I mean, I can round up. That's not a big deal.
7 was I'm still intrigued. It is the first episode. First episodes usually are never that amazing. It's very hard. Whatever it may be, even Lower Decks. It was a good first episode, but even then, like you're just getting a feel for things. So hopefully, with the next episode, we'll get a better feel for it, and we'll get to appreciate a bit more. But 7 is very generous for a pilot, for sure.
Yep. So tomorrow we have Lower Decks, and then Friday we're doing Titan. So we are busy.
And also, by the way, you sure it's not the other way around?
Well, I mean, I go off of what the apps say. So Lower Decks is supposed to come out on Thursday, and actually on my app it says Titans comes out on Thursday. Also,
Bossman gives it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, well that's not too far off from.
It's not remakes. It's just an alternative. Like I said, this was still Captain America, the first Avenger, but Peggy ended up going in there instead of Steve. It was all following the same pattern until Peggy went in there, and that's basically it. So
as I said, he's missing the point of the show, I think, and go read some What If comics and you'll get it. I promise.
With T'Challa being Star-Lord, I'm sure it's going to be very different. But at the same time, but you know how it is. They'll have to throw in Easter eggs. They'll have to throw in the similarities and stuff like that. Like I said, we got no Winter Soldier in the first episode. I mean, that paramount in the history of Steve Rogers. No Winter Soldier this time, so there are differences. It looks like Red Skull was completely dead. Before we didn't know if he was dead or not. And all of this sort of stuff. But there are differences. So, but I'm yappering on too much. So we look for the next episode. Oh, by the way, don't forget the final episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch Season 1 is also out this Friday, and I'll be reviewing that. Can't wait. It's been last couple of episodes have been great. It really does feel like Star Wars, like immersed in the Empire and all of that. fucking love it, and I can't wait for the final episode. It's going to be really good. Okay, so Cousin Cheeto, before I wrap this up, you got anything more to say?
Nope, just join us for Lower Decks tomorrow. I'm super excited. I love Lower Decks.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's about time we have some smiles, and Lower Decks definitely does that. We need some laughter in our lives, and we'll get that with Lower Decks. Can't wait. So, from myself and Cousin Cheetos, thank you very much. Have a nice day and live long and prosper, motherfuckers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel you've never heard of. Bye bye.